Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, two consoles that defined the early 90s. Before there was a 3DO, before there was PlayStation, and before there was even Atari Jaguar. These two consoles defined 16-bit gaming for North America. Keep in mind, and I'm not ignoring the terrible graphics 16, since technically that's like the first 16-bit console for North America at least. When you think of 90s gaming, you think of these two platforms mainly. You don't think about the Jaguar, you don't think about 3DO. When it comes to early 90s and 2D video games, usually it's Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. Those two consoles define the 16-bit era of gaming. And in this video, we're going to determine, in my personal opinion, which console is the best of the 16-bit era. Released in 1989 for the US market, the Sega Genesis was the second 16-bit console. Honestly, this is the coolest part of any console ever. Just sliding that up and down. And what I love is you could actually put in a speaker, I guess any old speaker, and I guess if it's compatible, and you could have your game, I guess, kind of amplified, I guess. The only problem is the sound normally from the console still comes out here. But you got your standard power on and off, standard reset, and this cool sliding volume adjuster, which I'm not going to lie, I play with a lot. And you got your cartridge slot here, controller, and controller ports. A giant 16-bit logo, because, you know, Sega had to let you know that they want to start the 16-bit war. And then there's that HD graphics claim. I mean, it's not a Xbox 360. And then you got your Super Nintendo controller. Now, disclaimer, I like saying Super Nintendo. I don't like saying Super Nintendo Entertainment System, because that's long and boring. Plus, Super Nintendo sounds more rad. SNES, I guess, could work, or people want to get technical, you could call this. It's the Super Famicom. Or you could call this, the Mega Drive. If you want to be technical. But for me, I'm calling it Super Nintendo. So here you got two controller ports, a eject button, which is honestly super special, awesome to press. The ejection, or the reset button and power button. Honestly, when I was trying to shut the console off, I didn't only go like that, so yeah. I mean, it's an interesting twist on the previous console owned by Nintendo, where you just push. Now, I cannot speak much for the Genesis or Mega Drive, because I never owned a Master System or seen a Master System in person. But on design, I might have to give it to the Super Nintendo. Only because I don't know. Because it just looks good, in my opinion. But and fun with screwing around with the console. I gotta give the Sega Genesis a point, because this feel was almost natural just to do. I don't know if it'll break the knob there, but I like messing with that, so yeah, it's fun. So then you got cartridges. Now keep in mind, I don't own any launch title for the Genesis. Hang on. Well, I could already tell the Super Nintendo won on one-handed cartridge removal. But the cartridge looks pretty good. But as I was saying earlier, I don't own any launch titles for the Sega Genesis. As for any region, so I figure I do the best known one of the best known franchise that I just so happen to own on a cartridge from, put in the Genesis. Now, the Super Nintendo is like a lot bulkier. I think I could just barely squeeze the Genesis cart in here. And you got your standard important legal disclaimer, I guess. Which I think okay, yeah. For some reason I thought the legal information wasn't on there. I guess for taking care of cartridges. But I have to give a point to Sega on this one, because the cartridges kind of, they look better and less bulky, and I don't see the justified extra length in the cartridge size. They're slightly taller than the N64 cartridge. And lastly, just which game? So I did not complete either game, but on first impression alone, whether you heard of the previous consoles by Nintendo or Sega respectively, honestly, I say in this case the Super Nintendo, honestly, because they already had the brand recognition. Even though Sonic modeled Sega into like this edgy anti-Nintendo, Mario was already a tried and true concept in North America. So I'm siding with the Super Nintendo in this video. Let me guys know what you think in the comments down below. Would you prefer the TurboGrafx or any other consoles mentioned in this video?